The trading station floated in the darkness of space like a massive metal flower. Ships came and went from its docking ports carrying traders and travelers from 100 different worlds. Inside the station, the air smelled of fuel, cooking food, and the strange sense of many alien species living together. Thalrix walked through the crowded corridors with heavy steps. He stood 3 meters tall, his body covered in black scales that looked like polished stone. Sharp spines ran down his back and his claws clicked against the metal floor. Other beings moved quickly out of his path. They knew what he was. They knew to be afraid. He was a Vrexian, born to hunt and kill. His people were apex predators, the deadliest creatures on their homeworld. For thousands of years, nothing had challenged them. Now Thalrix worked as a bounty hunter, tracking down criminals across the galaxy. He was very good at his job. Fear was his greatest weapon. Today, a human ship had docked at the station. Thalrix had heard about humans. They were new to the galaxy, soft creatures from a small blue world. They had no claws, no armor, no natural weapons. They looked weak. Thalrix wanted to remind them why his species was feared. He noticed the small human near the cargo bay. The creature was tiny, barely reaching Thalrix's knee. It wore bright blue clothing and had dark hair that fell across its forehead. The small human was looking at a display screen, pressing buttons with tiny fingers. Thalrix checked the area. No adult humans were nearby. This was perfect. He would give this small creature a memory it would never forget. He would show it what real fear felt like. He moved silently despite his size. Hunting skills were in his blood. The small human did not hear him approach. When Thalrix was close enough, he positioned himself between the creature and the exit. Then he began his display. First, the spines on his back extended fully, making him look even larger. They caught the station lights and gleamed like knives. Then his scales began to glow. Patterns of light appeared on his body, shifting from blue to green to purple. These were threat markings, biological warnings that told prey they were about to die. His body released special chemicals into the air. These pheromones triggered fear in most species. They made hearts race and muscles freeze. They told the primitive brain that a predator was near. Finally, Thalrix opened his mouth and hissed. The sound came from deep in his chest, a rattling noise that echoed off the walls. It was the last sound many creatures heard before death. The small human turned around. Its eyes went wide. Thalrix prepared for the screaming, the crying, the begging. He had seen it all before. But the small human did not scream. Instead, its face changed into something Thalrix did not recognize at first. The corners of its mouth turned up. Its eyes sparkled. Then it made a high-pitched noise that sounded like joy. "Pretty lights," the small human said. Thalrix froze. This was not the correct response. Prey did not make happy noises. Prey did not smile. The small human stepped closer. It reached out with tiny hands toward Thalrix's glowing scales. "You're like a rainbow. Can I touch?" Thalrix pulled back, confused. He hissed again, louder this time. The sound was powerful enough to rattle the cargo containers nearby. The small human clapped its hands together. It opened its own mouth and tried to make the same sound. What came out was a weak, breathy noise that sounded nothing like a threat. The creature laughed at its own failure. "I can't do it like you," the small human said. "You're really good at that sound." Thalrix's mind struggled to understand what was happening. In all his years, no creature had ever reacted this way. His threat display was perfect. His pheromones were at full strength. The small human should be terrified. He tried once more. He lowered his head to the small human's level, showing all his sharp teeth. He let his forked tongue flicker out. His eyes, which could see in total darkness, focused on the tiny creature with predatory intensity. The small human reached out and patted Thalrix on the snout. "You're so cool," it said. "Are you a dragon?" "My daddy told me about dragons. They're big and scary, but some of them are nice." Thalrix had no idea what a dragon was. He also had no idea what to do now. The small human showed absolutely no fear. It was treating him like something interesting, not something dangerous. "What's your name?" the small human asked. "My name is Jinho. I'm 5 years old." "How old are you?" Thalrix finally found his voice. It came out as a deep rumble. "I am Thalrix. I am a hunter. You should be afraid of me." Jinho tilted his head to the side. "Why, you haven't hurt me. You just made pretty lights and cool sounds." "I am showing you threat displays," Thalrix said. "I am demonstrating my ability to kill. You should run away." "But you're not going to kill me," Jinho said with complete confidence. You would have done it already if you wanted to. That's what my daddy says. Actions matter more than words. The logic was sound. Thalrix had to admit that. But it should not matter. The small human should be too scared to think logically. Where are your parents? Thalrix asked. He looked around the cargo bay again. Still no adult humans appeared. They're talking to some people about rocks or something, Jinho said. He waved his hand vaguely toward the docking area. It's boring, so I went to look at stuff. Then I found you. You're much more interesting than rocks. Thalrix realized he had a problem. He could not simply leave this small human alone in the cargo bay. The station was dangerous. There were criminals here, species that would hurt a defenseless creature. There were also machines that could crush something so small. You need to return to your parents, Thalrix said. Okay, Jinho agreed happily. Will you come with me? I want to show them my new friend. I am not your friend, Thalrix said. I am a predator. I am dangerous, Jinho just smiled. My teacher said that the most dangerous things can be the best friends if they choose to be nice. Are you choosing to be nice? Thalrix did not know how to answer that question. He had never thought about choosing to be nice before. He simply was what he was, a hunter, a fighter, a creature of fear and death. But looking down at this tiny, fearless human, something strange happened in his chest, a feeling he did not recognize. It was not hunger or anger or the thrill of the hunt. It was something else entirely. Come, he said finally. I will take you to your parents. Stay close to me. Jinho reached up and grabbed one of Thalrix's claws with his whole hand. The small human's grip was warm and trusting. Okay, this is going to be fun. As they walked through the station together, other beings stared in shock. The notorious bounty hunter Thalrix, feared across 12 systems, was holding hands with a human child. The small human chattered constantly, asking questions about everything he saw. Thalrix found himself answering. He told Jinho about the different species they passed. He pointed out which ships in the docking bay were fastest. He explained what the various warning lights meant, and with each answer, something inside the great predator began to change. Something he did not yet understand but could not stop. They reached the docking area where human ships were berthed. But when they arrived, Thalrix's keen eyes saw something that made his blood run cold. The human ship was gone. Its docking port stood empty. Jinho's parents had left without him. Thalrix stared at the empty docking port. His mind worked quickly, analyzing the situation. The human ship had left in a hurry. He could see burn marks on the dock where the engines had fired at full power. This was an emergency departure. Jinho looked up at the empty space where his parents' ship should be. His small face showed confusion but not panic. Where did they go? Wait here, Thalrix commanded. He moved to a nearby communication terminal and accessed the station logs. His claws moved across the controls with practiced ease. The screen showed recent departures. There it was, human research vessel departing under emergency protocols. Destination, outer colony distress call. Thalrix felt an unfamiliar emotion. It took him a moment to identify it as anger. What kind of parents left their offspring behind? But as he read more, he understood. The emergency call had come suddenly. The human ship was the only vessel close enough to help. They had to leave immediately or people would die. He checked the communication logs. Yes, there they were. Dozens of frantic messages from two humans named Minho and Yunji. They were looking for someone named Jinho. They were terrified. They had contacted station security, sent messages to every terminal, offered rewards for information. The station security system was overwhelmed. Pirates had tried to raid a cargo ship earlier that day. Every security officer was busy dealing with the aftermath. The human parents' messages were lost in the flood of emergency communications. Thalrix returned to Jinho. The small human was sitting on the floor, swinging his legs back and forth. He did not look worried at all. Your parents had to leave quickly, Thalrix explained. There was an emergency. They did not know you were not on the ship, Jinho nodded. That happens sometimes. They're scientists. They help people. When will they come back? Thalrix checked the mission details. 2 days. Maybe 3. They will return as soon as they can. Okay, Jinho said simply. What do we do until then? The small human said it was obvious they would stay together. Thalrix should take him to station security. They could care for him until his parents returned. That was the logical thing to do. but station security was busy. They might put the small human in a holding area with other lost travelers. Jinho would be alone, surrounded by strangers. And the station was dangerous right now with pirates around. "You will stay with me," Thalrix heard himself say. "I will keep you safe until your parents return." Jinho jumped up, smiling. "Really? That's great. You're much more fun than the security people anyway." Thalrix was not sure he had ever been called fun before. Terrifying, yes. Deadly, certainly. But never fun. His stomach made a low rumbling sound. He had not eaten since morning. "Are you hungry?" he asked Jinho. "Very hungry," Jinho said. "I didn't eat lunch because the grown-up meeting was so boring." They went to the station cantina. It was crowded and loud, filled with beings from many worlds. The smell of different foods mixed together in the air. Thalrix usually ate alone in his quarters. He did not like crowds, but he needed to feed the small human. Every head turned when they entered. Conversation stopped. The famous bounty hunter had never brought anyone to the cantina before, and he had certainly never brought a small human child. Thalrix ignored the stares. He led Jinho to a table in the corner where he could watch the exits. "Old hunting habits never died. What do you eat?" Thalrix asked. Jinho looked at the menu screen with confusion. It showed food from 50 different worlds. "I don't know." "What's good?" Thalrix realized he had no idea what humans could eat. His own species could digest almost anything. They had stomachs that could break down tough meat, bones, even some metals. But humans were different. They were fragile. He accessed the station database through his wrist device. He searched for human dietary requirements. The list was surprisingly complicated. Humans needed specific nutrients. Many things that other species ate were poison to them. "You cannot eat Garlixian meat," Thalrix said, reading from the screen. "It will make you sick. Also, no Thraxian fungi, no Corthan spices, no Vraxian salts." "What can I eat?" Jinho asked. Thalrix kept reading. "Simple proteins, grains, fruits that are not acidic, cooked vegetables." He looked at the cantina menu and selected items that matched. He ordered carefully, checking each ingredient against the human safety database. The food arrived. Thalrix had ordered a grain bowl with cooked meat and vegetables. For himself, he had raw Carthan steak, still bleeding. He ate it in 3 bites. Jinho ate slowly, watching Thalrix with interest. "You eat really fast. I'm a hunter." "Hunters eat quickly in case they must fight or run." "Do you have to fight a lot?" "Yes, I hunt criminals. They do not want to be caught." "They fight back." Jinho thought about this while chewing. "But you always win?" "I always win," Thalrix confirmed. "Good," Jinho said. "Then I'm safe with you." The simple trust in those words did something strange to Thalrix's chest again. That same unfamiliar feeling from before, but stronger now. Other beings in the cantina continued to watch them. Thalrix heard whispers. They were wondering what was happening. The deadly bounty hunter was being gentle with a human child. He was making sure the child had safe food. He was protecting him. A large Carvelian stumbled past their table. He had been drinking too much. His species was aggressive when drunk. He bumped into their table, making Jinho's water spill. "Sorry, little thing," the Carvelian slurred. He reached toward Jinho with a large hand. Thalrix moved faster than thought. His hand shot out and grabbed the Carvelian's wrist. He squeezed just hard enough to make his point clear. His eyes began to glow. His spine started to rise. A low growl came from his throat. This was not a display. This was a real threat. The Carvelian sobered up instantly. His eyes went wide with fear. "I meant no harm. I was just apologizing." "Do not touch him," Thalrix said quietly. The quiet made it more frightening. "Do not come near him. Do not look at him. Walk away now." The Carvelian walked away very quickly. Actually, he ran. Other beings in the cantina made sure to keep their distance. Jinho seemed completely unbothered. "You're really good at scaring people. Why doesn't it work on me?" Thalrix released his threat posture. His spines lowered. His eyes stopped glowing. "I do not know. You should be afraid. All creatures feel fear. It keeps them alive." "I do feel fear," Jinho said. "I'm scared of the dark, and big storms, and getting lost." He paused. "But I'm not scared of you. You haven't done anything to scare me. You've only been nice, and I tried to frighten you in the cargo bay." "I know, but it was like watching a show. Pretty lights and cool sounds. Nothing that would actually hurt me." Jinho finished his food. "My daddy says humans are good at knowing when danger is real or fake." He says we survived on Earth because we could tell the difference. Thalrix had read about Earth. It was a death world, filled with predators and dangers. Humans had survived there with no natural weapons, no armor, no speed. They survived through intelligence and the ability to judge threats accurately. This small human had judged him accurately. Thalrix had not wanted to hurt him. The display in the cargo bay was just theater. Jinho had seen through it immediately. After eating, Jinho yawned. It was a big yawn that made his whole face scrunch up. I'm sleepy. Thalrix looked at the time. It was late in the station's day cycle. Human children needed sleep. He knew this from his research. Come, we will go to my quarters. They walked through the station together. Jinho's steps got slower. He was very tired. Without warning, he stumbled. Thalrix caught him before he could fall. You are too tired to walk, Thalrix observed. Just a little bit, Jinho said, but his eyes were already half closed. Thalrix made a decision. He bent down and picked up the small human. Jinho weighed almost nothing. He was so small, so fragile. Thalrix held him carefully against his chest. Jinho's head rested against Thalrix's scales. The child's body was warm. His breathing slowed. Within moments, he was asleep. Thalrix carried him the rest of the way. Other beings stared, but he ignored them. The small human trusted him completely. He was vulnerable and sleeping in the arms of a predator. No fear at all. When they reached his quarters, Thalrix placed Jinho on his sleeping platform. He covered him with a thermal blanket. The child did not wake up. Thalrix sat down nearby and watched him sleep. His predator senses monitored every breath, every small movement. If anything threatened this small human, Thalrix would know immediately. As he watched, he realized something important. His hunting instincts had not disappeared. They had shifted. Instead of stalking prey, he was now guarding something precious. The instinct to protect was just as strong as the instinct to hunt, maybe stronger. Jinho made a small sound in his sleep and curled up tighter under the blanket. Thalrix adjusted the temperature in the room to keep him comfortable. 2 or 3 days until the parents returned. Thalrix would keep this small human safe until then. It was his responsibility now. He did not yet understand that those 2 or 3 days would change his life forever. Morning came to the station as the lights gradually brightened to simulate a sunrise. Thalrix had not slept. He had spent the night watching over Jinho, his predator senses alert for any danger. He did not feel tired. Vrexians could go days without sleep when protecting territory. Jinho woke up slowly, rubbing his eyes. He looked around the sparse quarters with curiosity. The room was simple, a sleeping platform, a weapons rack, a small desk with data screens, and shelves holding various equipment. No decorations, no personal items except for a few hunting trophies mounted on the wall. Good morning, Jinho said cheerfully. He showed no fear or confusion about waking up in a strange place. He simply accepted the situation. Did you sleep well? Thalrix asked. Really well. Your room is quiet, and I like your bed. It's warm. Jinho climbed off the platform. What are those? He pointed at the trophies on the wall, proof of hunts. Claws, teeth, scales from dangerous creatures I have defeated. Jinho walked closer to examine them. Tell me about them. Thalrix found himself explaining each trophy. The razor tooth from a Skrull beast on Corvin Prime, the crystal horn from a Thrasher on the ice world Galax, the armored plate from a Dreadclaw in the outer reaches. He told the story simply, leaving out the most violent details. Jinho listened with complete attention. You're really brave. You fight all these scary things and you win. It is what I do. What I am. What you choose to do, Jinho corrected. That's what makes you brave. Choosing to fight dangerous things to keep people safe. Thalrix had never thought about it that way. He hunted criminals because he was good at it, because his species was built for it. But Jinho was right. It was a choice. Are you hungry? Thalrix asked, changing the subject. Very hungry. They went to the cantina again. This time Thalrix knew what to order. He got Jinho a breakfast of safe foods, cooked grain, fruit, protein cubes. The human ate happily, swinging his legs under the table. What do we do today? Jinho asked. I have contacted station security. They are still searching for proper channels to reach your parents. The emergency in the outer colonies is serious. All long-range communications are being used for rescue operations. So we wait? Yes, we wait. Can you show me around the station? I want to see everything. Thalrix considered this. The station was large and dangerous. But staying in his quarters all day would bore the small human. I will show you. But you must stay close to me always, do you understand? I understand. They explored the station together. Thalrix found himself seeing it through Jinho's eyes. The human child was fascinated by everything. The different species walking past, the ships visible through the viewing ports, the hum of the station's massive engines, the shops selling strange items from distant worlds. Jinho asked questions constantly. Why did that alien have 6 arms? How did ships travel faster than light? What was that strange food in the window? Where did that species come from? Thalrix answered every question. He knew more than he realized about the galaxy and the beings in it. They stopped at a viewing port. Outside, stars filled the darkness of space. A massive cargo ship was docking, its engines glowing blue. It's so beautiful, Jinho said quietly. Space is really big. Yes, very big. Do you ever get lonely? Traveling through all that space by yourself? The question surprised Thalrix. I do not think about it. I am a hunter. I work alone, but do you want to be alone? Thalrix had no answer. He had always been alone. Phyrexians were solitary creatures. They came together to mate and raise young, but adults lived separately. It was their nature. He had never questioned it before. Come, he said. There is more to see. They passed a shop selling communication devices. Jinho stopped to look at the display. Thalrix checked his messages. There was something from station security. They had finally reached Jinho's parents. Minho and Yunji were desperate to talk to their son. They had been terrified when they discovered Jinho was not on the ship. The emergency had prevented them from returning immediately. They were still 2 days away. Thalrix arranged a video call. The shop owner let them use a private booth. Jinho's face lit up when his parents appeared on the screen. Jinho, his mother Yunji cried. Tears ran down her face. Thank the stars you're safe. We were so worried. I'm okay, Mom. I'm with Thalrix. He's taking care of me. His father Minho leaned into view. His eyes were red from lack of sleep. Thank you, he said to Thalrix. Thank you for watching our son. We will be there as soon as possible. The rescue operation is almost complete. He is safe, Thalrix assured them. I will protect him. They talked for a while. Jinho told his parents about the cantina and the viewing ports and Thalrix's trophies. He seemed happy, not scared or upset. This reassured his parents somewhat. After the call ended, Jinho was quieter. I miss them, he said. They will return soon, I know. But I still miss them now. Jinho looked up at Thalrix. Is that okay? To miss them even though I'm having fun with you? Yes, that is okay. It means you love them. They continued their tour. As they walked through a market area, Thalrix's keen senses detected something wrong. The crowd was moving in unusual patterns. People were avoiding a certain section. His predator instincts activated. Stay behind me, he told Jinho quietly. 3 rough-looking beings emerged from a side corridor. Thalrix recognized them immediately. Smugglers he had tangled with before. The leader was a Scaran named Vexen, covered in scars and missing one eye. Well, well, Vexen said. His voice was rough and mean. The famous Thalrix. I heard you've gone soft. Playing babysitter now? Thalrix positioned himself between the smugglers and Jinho. Leave now. You do not want this fight. Oh, I think I do. You cost me a fortune when you destroyed my last shipment. Time for payback. Vexen pulled out a blade. His companions did the same. Run, Thalrix told Jinho without looking back. Hide. But before anything could happen, Jinho spoke up. Are you bullies? He asked Vexen. The smuggler looked confused. What? Bullies? People who hurt others because they're angry about something. My teacher told me about bullies. She said they're usually sad inside. Vexen laughed. Sad? I'm about to cut your pet monster into pieces. How's that for sad? He's not a monster. He's nice, and you should leave before you get hurt. The confidence in Jinho's voice was remarkable. He showed no fear of these armed criminals. He truly believed Thalrix would protect him. That belief unleashed something in Thalrix. Every protective instinct in his body surged forward. His vision sharpened. His muscles tensed. His claws extended fully. This was not a display. This was real. When Thalrix spoke, his voice was pure death. You have 5 seconds to leave. After that, I cannot promise your survival. Vexen saw something in Thalrix's eyes that made him pause. The bounty hunter had fought him before, yes, but that had been professional. This was personal. This was a predator defending its young. You're serious, Vexen said, backing up a step. 3 seconds. The other smugglers were already backing away. They knew when prey became more dangerous than it was worth. Vexen looked at his companions, then at Thalrix, then at the small human who stood calmly behind the predator. This isn't over, Vexen said, but he was already leaving. Yes, it is, Thalrix replied. They disappeared into the crowd. Thalrix remained tense for several minutes, making sure they were truly gone. Finally, he relaxed. His claws retracted. His breathing slowed. He turned to find Jinho looking up at him with admiration. You were really scary, but I knew you wouldn't let them hurt me. You should have run when I told you to. I did hide behind you. That counts as running away, right? Thalrix could not argue with that logic. Come, we should return to my quarters. The station is more dangerous than I thought. On the way back, Jinho reached up and took Thalrix's hand again. His small fingers wrapped around one large claw. Thank you for protecting me. It is my responsibility. No, Jinho said firmly. It's more than that. You care about me. I can tell. Thalrix wanted to deny it. He was a predator, a hunter, a solitary being. He did not form attachments. But the words would not come, because the small human was right. He did care. Back in his quarters, Jinho wanted to hear more stories. Thalrix found himself talking about his hunts, his travels, the worlds he had seen. Jinho listened to everything, asking smart questions. Why do you hunt criminals? Jinho asked. Because someone must. They hurt innocent beings. So you protect people. That's a good thing to do. I am paid to do it. But you would do it anyway, wouldn't you? Because it's right. Thalrix thought about this. Would he? Yes, he realized. He would. That night when Jinho grew tired, he refused to sleep on the platform alone. Can I sleep near you? I feel safer. Thalrix arranged blankets on the floor next to his chair. But when he sat down, Jinho climbed onto his lap instead, curling up against his chest. The small human used Thalrix's tail as a pillow. Tell me about your homeworld, Jinho murmured sleepily. Thalrix described Vrexos, the dark forests, the crystal mountains, the 3 moons in the night sky. His voice was low and rumbling. Jinho fell asleep listening to it. The predator sat very still, holding the sleeping child. His scales glowed faintly, the bioluminescent patterns shifting in soft colors. Jinho had called them star patterns once. Thalrix made them glow brighter, creating gentle light in the dark room. Something fundamental had changed inside him. He did not fully. The next day brought good news. Station security confirmed that Jinho's parents would arrive by evening. The rescue operation in the outer colonies was complete. Their ship was already traveling back at maximum speed. Jinho was excited to see his parents again. But Thalrix noticed the child also seemed sad. When asked about it, Jinho said, I'm happy to see Mom and Dad, but I'll miss you. Those simple words created an ache in Thalrix's chest. He would miss the small human, too. These 2 days had been strange and unexpected. His quiet, solitary life had been turned upside down. But he found he did not mind. They spent the morning together as usual. Thalrix taught Jinho about different alien species and their customs. Jinho taught Thalrix human games and songs. The predator found himself learning words to silly songs about twinkling stars and friendly animals. On Earth, we have these animals called dogs, Jinho explained. They used to be wolves, predators like you. But humans made friends with them thousands of years ago. Now they're our best friends. They protect us and love us. Humans befriended predators? Thalrix asked. We befriend everyone. That's what humans do best. My daddy says humans survived because we're really good at making friends even with things that seem scary at first. Thalrix thought about this. Humans had no claws, no natural armor, no venom or strength. Yet they had spread across the galaxy faster than any other species. Perhaps their true strength was this ability to form bonds, to turn enemies into allies. In the afternoon, a message arrived. Jinho's parents wanted to speak with them again. This time, the call was different. Minho and Yunji looked tired but relieved. Behind them, Thalrix could see the interior of their ship. We'll be there in 6 hours, Minho said. Thank you again for taking care of Jinho. We've been so worried. He has been no trouble, Thalrix said. This was mostly true. The small human was curious and energetic, but not difficult. Yunji leaned closer to the screen. Jinho talks about you constantly. He says you're his friend. He says you showed him the station and told him stories and protected him from bad people. There was a small incident with smugglers. It was handled. Both parents looked alarmed. Are you both okay? Minho asked quickly. We're fine. The smugglers left without violence. Yunji studied Thalrix carefully. You're a bounty hunter, correct? Your reputation is known even among human communities. You're considered very dangerous. I am dangerous, Thalrix confirmed. But not to your son. Yes, I can see that, Yunji smiled slightly. It's interesting. Gino has always been good at judging people. He sees things clearly, without the prejudice adults often have. If he trusts you, then you must be trustworthy. After the call ended, Jinho asked, Can we visit the viewing port again? I want to see the stars one more time. They went to the large observation deck. Fewer beings were there now. Thalrix and Jinho stood before the massive window, looking out at the infinite darkness filled with distant lights. Space is so big, Jinho said quietly. And we're so small. But somehow we found each other. Yes. Do you think we would have been friends if you had scared me that first day? Thalrix considered this. No, you would have run away. I would have forgotten you. I'm glad I wasn't scared then. I'm glad we're friends. As am I. They stood in comfortable silence, watching a ship depart from the station. Its engines flared bright blue against the darkness. Thalrix, Jinho said, what will you do after I leave? Return to my work. Hunt criminals. Travel the galaxy. Will you be alone again? Yes. Jinho was quiet for a moment. Then he said, I don't want you to be alone. You're too nice to be alone. I am a predator. My species lives alone. But do you want to? It was the same question Jinho had asked before. This time Thalrix had an answer. No, I do not want to be alone anymore. Jinho took his hand. Then don't be. Stay with us. I cannot. I am not family. Your parents are strangers to me. You could meet them. They're really nice. And they need help. What do you mean? Jinho spoke earnestly. Mom and Dad are scientists. They go to dangerous places to study planets. They worry about me all the time because it's not safe. But if you were there, I would be safe. And they could do their work without being scared. It was a child's simple logic. But there was wisdom in it too. Thalrix had seen how worried Minho and Yunji were. They loved their son deeply. But their work took them to dangerous frontiers. It was an impossible situation. Your parents might not want a Vrexian predator living with them. We should ask them, Jinho said excitedly. When they get here, we should ask. Perhaps. As evening approached, they returned to Thalrix's quarters to wait. Jinho was bouncing with nervous energy, excited to see his parents. Thalrix found himself feeling something he had never experienced before. Anxiety. He was worried about what would happen when the parents arrived. Finally, a message came. The human ship had docked. Minho and Yunji were on their way. Thalrix and Jinho met them at the docking bay. When Jinho saw his parents, he ran to them. Yunji dropped to her knees and swept him into her arms, crying. Minho wrapped his arms around both of them. It was a very human display of emotion. Thalrix stood back, watching. This was a family. He was an outsider. The realization hurt more than he expected. After several minutes, the family separated. Minho and Yunji stood up, still holding Jinho's hands. They approached Thalrix. Thank you, Minho said. His voice was thick with emotion. Thank you for keeping our son safe. We can never repay you. No payment is needed. I was glad to help. Yunji studied him carefully. She was a scientist, Thalrix realized. She observed and analyzed. Jinho says you became friends. He says you protected him from smugglers. He says you told him stories and showed him the station and made sure he ate properly. Yes, I did these things. Why? Yunji asked directly. You're a bounty hunter. You work alone. You have no reason to care for a human child you just met. Thalrix could not explain it in words. How could he describe the feeling in his chest when Jinho smiled? How could he explain the protective instinct that surged through him when the small human was threatened? How could he make them understand that in 2 days this child had changed everything he thought he knew about himself? I do not know, he said finally. But I do care. Your son is remarkable. He is brave and kind and intelligent. He saw past what I am and found something worth befriending. Jinho spoke up. Can Thalrix come with us, please? I asked him and he said we should ask you. He could help keep me safe while you do your science work. Minho and Yunji looked at each other. They seemed to have a silent conversation with just their eyes. Finally, Minho spoke. Could we talk privately? The three of us? Of course, Thalrix said. They found a quiet meeting room near the docking bay. Jinho stayed with the station attendant, though he was not happy about being left behind. Once alone, the conversation became serious. Our work is dangerous, Yunji began. We study potentially habitable worlds on the frontier. Many of these planets have hostile environments or dangerous wildlife. We've had several close calls over the years. Jinho is our only child, Minho continued. We love him more than anything, but we also believe our work is important. We're identifying worlds that could become new homes for humanity and other species. The problem is that frontier space is unsafe, Yunji said. Pirates, smugglers, hostile aliens. We can't leave Jinho on Earth with family, because we have no family. Our parents passed away. We have no siblings. It's just us. We've considered quitting our work, Minho said, but that would mean abandoning years of research. And we truly believe we're helping make the galaxy safer for everyone, including Jinho's generation. Thalrix understood. They were trapped between duty and love. You want me to protect him while you work. More than that, Yunji said. Jinho has bonded with you in a way I've never seen before. He trusts you completely, and you've clearly bonded with him too. I can see it in how you look at him, how you position yourself to shield him, how you speak about him. What are you proposing? Thalrix asked. Minho spoke carefully. Humans have a concept called adoption. We take children who are not biologically ours and make them legally and emotionally part of our family. But we also have something called shared parenting, multiple adults raising one child together. You want me to raise your child? Thalrix was shocked. We want to raise him together, Yunji corrected. You would travel with us, live with us, help protect Jinho while we conduct our research. In return, you would be part of our family. I am not human. I am a predator. Yes, and that's exactly why this could work. Minho leaned forward. Jinho needs protection that we cannot provide. We're scientists, not fighters. But you are a fighter. You're also someone our son trusts and cares about. That's rare and precious, Yunji added. In human culture, family is not always about biology. It's about choice and love and commitment. We're offering you a choice. Stay with us. Help us raise Jinho, be part of our family. Thalrix's mind raced. Everything in his biology said Vrexians were solitary, but everything in his heart said this was right. This was what he wanted. I am a bounty hunter. I have enemies. We can handle that, Minho said. We've dealt with dangers before, and having you with us would actually make us all safer. What about your son? What if he changes his mind? Children are unpredictable. 3 weeks later, Thalrix stood in the cargo hold of the human research vessel, securing equipment for their next planetary survey. The ship was smaller than most vessels he had traveled on, but it was designed for a family. It had living quarters, a laboratory, a small medical bay, and a navigation deck. His own quarters were next to Jinho's room. The humans had insisted he have his own space, but the door between the rooms was almost always open. Jinho liked to run back and forth, showing Thalrix his drawings or asking questions about the stars they passed. Life with the humans was very different from his solitary existence. There were routines, meals together, story time before sleep, morning exercises. There was laughter and conversation and the constant presence of others. Thalrix had worried he would find it overwhelming. Instead, he found he loved it. Thalrix, Jinho called, running into the cargo hold. Mom says we're going to land on the new planet tomorrow. She says it has purple plants. That is correct. The planet's atmosphere causes plants to develop different pigments than on Earth. Will it be dangerous? There may be unknown predators. That is why I will accompany you on the survey. Jinho grinned. You're the best protector ever. Over the past weeks, Thalrix had learned much about humans. They were adaptable in ways that surprised him. Minho and Yunji had accepted him into their family without hesitation. They made adjustments for his dietary needs, his temperature preferences, his need for certain minerals. In return, he protected them and helped with ship maintenance and navigation. But the real revelation was understanding human parenting. Minho and Yunji did not just keep Jinho safe. They taught him constantly. They encouraged his curiosity. They answered his endless questions with patience. They showed him how to be kind, brave, and thoughtful. Thalrix found himself learning alongside Jinho. He was learning what it meant to be gentle, what it meant to care about someone else's happiness more than your own comfort, what it meant to be part of something larger than yourself. That evening, they shared dinner in the common area. Yunji had cooked a human meal, rice, vegetables, protein. She had learned to prepare raw meat for Thalrix the way his species preferred it. They sat around the table together, talking about the upcoming planetary survey. The preliminary scans show possible mineral deposits, Minho explained, showing data on a tablet. If confirmed, this planet could support mining operations. Are there any life signs? Thalrix asked. Plant life definitely. Possible animal life, but the scans are unclear. That's why we need to do a ground survey. I will scout ahead of you. Identify any threats before you are exposed to them. We make a good team, Yunji said, smiling. After dinner, it was Jinho's bedtime. This had become Thalrix's responsibility. He would carry the sleepy child to his room, help him get ready for sleep, and tell him stories until he drifted off. Tonight, as Thalrix settled into the chair beside Jinho's bed, the child asked, "Do you miss your old life? When you were alone?" "No, this life is better. Even though it's different from what you're used to, especially because it is different. I did not know I was lonely until I was not lonely anymore." Jinho thought about this. "I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're my family now, as am I. Tell me about Vrexos again." About the Crystal Mountains, Thalrix began the story. His deep voice rumbled softly in the quiet room. He told of his homeworld, of hunting in the dark forests, of the 3 moons rising over the horizon. His scales glowed gently, creating soft light patterns that Jinho loved. The child's breathing slowed. His eyes closed. Within minutes, he was asleep. Thalrix remained for a while, watching him. Such a small, fragile creature, yet so full of courage and joy. Jinho had changed everything. He had taken a solitary predator and shown him what it meant to belong. The next day, they landed on the new planet. The surface was indeed covered with purple vegetation. The sky was a pale green. 2 small suns hung on the horizon. Thalrix conducted a perimeter scan before allowing the others to exit the ship. His predator senses were fully alert. The air smelled strange but not dangerous. He detected movement in the distant vegetation but nothing approaching. "All clear," he reported. Minho and Yunji emerged, carrying scientific equipment. Jinho bounced with excitement, though he stayed close to Thalrix as instructed. They had practiced safety procedures many times. "Stay within sight of the ship," Yunji reminded everyone. "If Thalrix says to return, we return immediately." No arguments, they spread out to collect samples. Thalrix positioned himself where he could watch all 3 humans simultaneously. His eyes scanned constantly for threats. His hearing picked up every sound across the alien landscape. Jinho found a strange rock and brought it to show Thalrix. "Look, it's sparkly." "It is likely crystal formation. Your mother will want to analyze it." As the day progressed, the survey went smoothly. They collected plant samples, soil samples, atmospheric readings. Minho discovered the mineral deposits were even richer than expected. This planet would indeed make a good colony world. Then Thalrix's senses detected something wrong. A large creature was moving through the vegetation toward them. It was staying downwind, attempting to remain undetected. "A predator. Return to the ship," Thalrix said quietly but firmly. "Now." Minho and Yunji did not question him. They gathered Jinho and their equipment and moved quickly toward the ship. Thalrix positioned himself between them and the approaching threat. The creature emerged from the purple plants. It was massive, easily twice Thalrix's size. It had 6 legs and a mouth full of crystalline teeth. Its eyes were intelligent and hungry. "Keep moving," Thalrix called to the humans. "Do not run. Walk steadily." The creature focused on him. It recognized another predator. They studied each other, calculating. This was how predators communicated, through display and assessment. Thalrix made himself larger. His spines extended. His scales began to glow with threat patterns. He released a warning hiss that echoed across the landscape. This was his territory now. These were his humans. The creature needed to understand that. The alien predator took a step forward. Thalrix did not retreat. He stood his ground, every muscle ready for combat. Behind him, he heard the ship's door open and close. The humans were safe, but Thalrix did not attack. This creature was simply defending its territory, just as he was defending his family. Violence was unnecessary if the threat could be resolved another way. He stared into the creature's eyes. Predator to predator. The message was clear. Leave us alone and we will leave you alone. After a long moment, the creature turned and disappeared back into the vegetation. It had assessed the situation and decided the risk was too great. Thalrix remained alert for several minutes, making sure it was truly gone. Finally, he returned to the ship. Inside, Minho and Unji were checking their equipment. Jinho ran to Thalrix immediately. "You were so brave. You scared it away without even fighting. Fighting is not always necessary. Sometimes presence is enough. You protected us again. That is what family does." That evening, as they traveled to their next destination, the four of them gathered in the common area. Thalrix had something he wanted to say. "I have been thinking about my contracts, my work as a bounty hunter." Minho and Unji looked at him with concern. "Are you leaving?" Unji asked quietly. "No, the opposite. I want to end that life completely. I want to focus entirely on this family, on protecting you and helping with your research." "Are you sure?" Minho asked. "It's been your career for many years. I am certain." "This is more important. You are more important," Unji smiled. "Then we should make it official. Formal adoption papers, legal documentation that you are Jinho's guardian." "How does that work with human law?" "I'm not human." "The frontier colonies have flexible laws about multi-species families," Minho explained. "It's becoming more common. We would file papers declaring you as Jinho's legal guardian alongside us. You would have full parental rights and responsibilities." "I want that." They filed the papers the next day, transmitting them to the nearest colonial authority. The process was surprisingly simple. The galaxy was learning that family could take many forms. When the confirmation came back, making it official, Jinho wanted to celebrate. Unji made a special dinner. Minho played human music. They laughed and talked and enjoyed being together. After Jinho went to sleep, Thalrix stood at the viewing port looking out at the stars. He thought about the day he had tried to frighten a small human child. How that moment had changed everything. Unji joined him. "Are you happy?" she asked. "Yes, I did not know I could be this happy. Jinho is lucky to have you. We all are. I am the lucky one. You welcomed a predator into your family. You trusted me with your child. That is a gift I can never repay. You repay it every day, every time you protect us, every time you make Jinho laugh, every time you choose to be here with us." She paused. "You know, there's a human saying, family is not about blood. It's about who is willing to hold your hand when you need it most." Thalrix looked down at his clawed hands. These hands had been used for hunting, for fighting, for violence. Now they held a small human child gently. They helped with scientific equipment. They prepared food and secured cargo and did all the small tasks that made a family function. "I like that saying." Minho called from the navigation deck. "We're approaching the next system.